What's going on, guys? JT43 here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do an oil change on a 2011 to 2016 Scion TC. So I'm just going to jump right into it. The things that you're going to need is you're going to need some jack stands, you're going to need a jack to lift the car up, you're going to need an oil pan or something to catch the oil so you don't spill a bunch of fucking oil everywhere. You're going to need some oil, which I'm going to go more in depth about which oil you should use for this car. And you're gonna need an oil filter, which once again I'll go over. And last but not least, you're gonna need a medium socket set. The first thing you're gonna do before jacking up the car is you're gonna open up your hood. So just pop your hood. Yes, once you have your hood popped open, you're gonna go ahead and just kind of crack your dipstick like that. Doing this is kind of gonna allow the air pressure to come out and the oil to come out faster. And also later when we're putting oil in and we're at that point where we're kind of just slightly putting a little bit in to get it to the top mark, it's gonna go in a lot quicker so you don't have to like wait as longer. So now with the basic stuff out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and jack up the car. All right, make sure that your e-brake is up. So real quick, before we actually jack the car up, I'm gonna show you guys a kind of center point so you can lift the car from the middle, and it'll lift both sides at the same time. So you can put both of them, both jack stands down. So I'm just gonna show you kind of the center point on the center here so you can just kind of lift it up. Okay, so at the front of the car, and I'm gonna come down here. Now my car is lowered, so this is gonna be a little difficult to show. So here's the front of the car right here. And so this little knob right here, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna put the jack right in the center of this little knob here. You can see there's like a little circle outlet kind of around it. So you're gonna put the jack right on here, and it's gonna lift the car. It's gonna lift both sides of the front up so you can place the jack stands down at the same time. So you're gonna bring your jack in. This thing is very fucking loud. Make sure that's all the way down. Then you're gonna lock it. Make sure it doesn't spin anymore. I'm pretty much gonna bring the jack over. And it's really hard to see, but my jack is kind of center with that little ball. Once it's on the center point, you can go ahead and start jacking it up. So once the car is high enough, you can go ahead and start placing your jack stands down on both sides. Okay, so once you have your jack stands in place, and if you don't know exactly where to put the jack stand, I'll kind of show you real quick. Okay, so this is the front of the car right here. If you come under here, you're gonna see these little arrows. See this arrow right here? So where the arrow is, you kind of put your jack stand there. And if you look under here, there's like these little notches here. These little notches on both sides here where the arrow is. So that's where you're gonna put the jack stand. Yeah, once you have the jack stands where you want them, you're gonna go ahead and lower the car. Okay, now with the car dropped on the jack stands, you're just gonna go ahead and give it a little shake. Make sure that it's not going anywhere. Okay, so once you're ready, you're gonna go ahead and go under. Right here, this is gonna be your oil pan. So here's your oil filter right here, which there's two different oil filters you can have on this car, and I'll go over them. This is kind of the stock one, and then there's another one that Toyota sells that is, you use a special kind of filter to pop it open, which I'll show you what tool that is. Yeah, this is your oil pan right here, and then this nut right here. This is the nut that we're gonna be taking out to release the old oil. We're gonna go ahead and grab our oil pan. Then you're gonna pop open that socket set, and then you're gonna grab a medium-sized wrench and a 14-size socket. It doesn't have to be a long socket. It could be a short socket, whatever you choose. But just make sure that it is a 14. We're gonna grab our oil pan, and then we're gonna go grab our wrench. We're gonna bring the oil pan. So the oil pan is right there. We're gonna go ahead and slide our oil pan. So pretty much what we're doing here is we're loosening up this bolt right here, but you want to angle your oil pan kind of like how the angle of the nut is, so that when you take the nut off, it angles onto the oil pan, so that it doesn't overshoot your oil pan and go on the concrete over there. But once you have everything set up, you're gonna go ahead and take this nut out. Okay, so after you crack this nut off, you're just gonna let this oil drain, and then when that's done draining, we're gonna go ahead and take the oil filter off. Okay, so you can see here, oil has pretty much stopped draining. Now, I know I said I was gonna take the oil filter off next, but I think it would honestly be better to just put this nut back in. So all we're gonna do is just put the nut where you took it out and just snug it up. You don't want this to strip, because if it strips, it's gonna be really bad. You're gonna need a whole new oil pan. Just snug it up, you know what I mean? Don't overdo it, don't crank on it. Okay, so now with this bolt all tightened up, we can go ahead and move on to the oil filter. So with the oil filter, you'll notice that it has some grooves on it. You can see right along here, you know what I mean? It's got like, you know, some grooves on it. You're gonna need a special kind of tool for that. It's called an oil cap, filter socket or something like that. I have one right here. And so don't freak out if you don't have one of these. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to pick one up. If not, you can run to AutoZone right now or Napa or wherever you want to go and just rent it out. And when you're finished with the job, you can go back and pretty much refund it, you know? But I'll leave it in the description because I can see some people that would want to buy it to do future oil changes. But this is what you're going to need right here. And so the good thing about a socket like this is you can hook it right up to your wrench and it kind of just acts like a normal socket. And so pretty much what we're gonna do is we're gonna get underneath here and we're going to put the wrench on just like that and then make sure it's seated nice and neat. And we're just gonna kind of crack it off. Okay, and so once you are able to crack this oil filter loose, you're not gonna take it off just yet. You're gonna go ahead and grab your oil pan open. And then you're gonna go ahead and crack the, assuming that you have this style oil filter, we're gonna go ahead and grab the wrench with a middle-sized extension that will essentially fit inside of that square like that, and then you're able to crack it loose. And then once you have that loose, you're gonna be able to unscrew that. Make sure you have your oil pan ready. Go ahead and drop that. Put this somewhere where it's not gonna get dirty. We're gonna be taking a look at our oil filter. So this is a STP extended life. It says it's engineered to last up to 10,000 miles. I don't really pay attention to that shit. You should not be waiting 10,000 miles to change out your oil or your oil filter. That's just kind of bad fucking practice. But if you want this, I'll leave a link in the description down below. All the stuff that I'm using, I'll leave a link down in the description below. But after you crack that piece open, you're gonna go ahead and grab this middle piece, and then I'll show you what to do with it once I get back onto the car. So back onto the car, and now you see we have this open hole here. So with this, assuming that your kit came with it, and it should have came with it, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the plastic piece and you're gonna thread it into those threads right there. You see them? It's kind of hard to see, but if you can see those threads, you're gonna go ahead and screw this plastic piece in there. And what it's actually gonna do is it's gonna bleed the oil out of the filter before taking it off, like I said. So it's kind of cracking it open, like that. Go ahead and turn it some more. And then there you go. You can see how just by putting it in there, it kind of cracks the rest of the oil out. The purpose of that is that when we take this oil filter out, there's not going to be any oil in there. So it's kind of a cool little mechanism. So what you're going to do is you're going to let this drain, and then when that's done draining, we're going to go ahead and take this off. Okay, so when it's done draining, you're gonna go ahead and take this back out, and then you're gonna go ahead and take the oil filter off. Okay, so we have the oil filter here. I'm gonna try and make this kind of quick. So this is what it kind of should look like when you take it out. Not the condition of it, but you should have an oil filter on top, and you should be able to see the threads like this. So as we take the filter out, so this is the oil filter, and then this is kind of the housing. This has not been changed in a while, and you can tell just how black this filter is and how dirty this filter is. It's not too bad, but you know, you definitely don't want your filters looking like that. They don't have to look brand new, but so you can see this kind of sludge here. Not really the best kind of thing to see, but you can just take a rag and just kind of wipe this shit down. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, and that's looking a lot cleaner. So next we're gonna see is this O-ring in here. So there's gonna be this little rubber O-ring that your new kit with your new oil filter should have had new O-rings and rings. Now there's two, I'll get to them real quick, but this bigger one, there should be a bigger ring and a smaller ring that came with your new oil filter. So the big ring, you can kind of see it right here. It kind of looks like a thread if you don't know what you're looking at, but this kind of bulgy one right here, this is gonna be the O-ring. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this off and you're gonna put your new one around where the old one was. If you're getting trouble getting the old O-ring out, you can use a very tiny flathead and just carefully try and just kind of pry it out like that. Be careful of the threads here. And you're just gonna kind of lift like that and then kind of just pull out. And then the O-ring should just kind of come out with it all like that. See how I just did that? Very simple. It wouldn't hurt to kind of clean around, and then you're gonna go ahead and put your new one right in this exact same spot. Okay, now that you have your old O-ring out, before we actually put the new one on, you're gonna go ahead and go to your oil pan and take some oil on your finger, just kind of dip it in, and then you're gonna go around the O-ring like that. So let me just get some on my finger here. You can use new oil or you can use old oil, it doesn't really matter. You just kind of want to get the O-ring kind of lubricated a little bit, like that. And once you see that shine, it's not gonna focus, but once you see that shine, then you can go ahead and put the new O-ring on. So you kind of got to start it at the top, put your finger on it like that, and then just kind of go around just like that. And so the next step would be to take your new filter and just kind of put your filter on. It shouldn't have a certain way to go because both sides should look the same, but if there is an arrow, you know, pointing like which way the filter should go, you're definitely going to want to follow that. I'm looking right now, I'm not seeing an arrow, so I think I'll just put the numbers on top like that. Kind of just place it in there like that, and then that's good to go. But the last thing that we got to do is the bottom O-ring. So your kit should have came with another O-ring, and that's for, it kind of blends in too, but you can see it's for this O-ring right here. So we're gonna go ahead and take this one out too. So to do this, you're kind of gonna do the same thing. You're gonna grab the small flathead and you're just gonna carefully get inside like that, and you're just gonna pry up and take the O-ring out. And then you're gonna do the same thing, dip some oil on your finger. It's kind of you know, get the oil on there, and then we're gonna go ahead and just kind of place it in there like that. If it falls, it's okay. You're gonna kind of have to like maneuver it to where when it's upside down, put this, like kind of push it on and then screw the other piece on, but we'll get there when we get back under the car. I'm trying to show this. We have the new oil filter here. I'm kind of using my hands to keep that O-ring in. And so we're pretty much gonna slide this in here. You know, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna let that O-ring drop in my hand. And once it's in the threads, feel for the threads. Once it is in there, you're going to go ahead and twist it on. Now this should be hand tight. You don't want to use the tool to tighten this back up, because if you use the tool to tighten this back up, getting it back off in the future to do another oil change is going to be absolute fucking hell, because not only did you crank the fuck on this, but that O-ring, not this O-ring, but the other O-ring in there is just going to expand, and it's going to make it super fucking tight to where you have to like almost drill this thing off. We're gonna put this O-ring on and then put this piece back on the bottom. Okay, so now I'm just kind of hand tightening this back on. You can use the tool to tighten this back on. Just, you know, don't do it too tight. You just kind of want it snug. But after everything is tightened up, we're ready to put the oil in. Okay, so now that we got everything on the bottom of the car finished, we're gonna go ahead and bring the car back on level ground so we can add the oil in. So we're gonna go ahead, jack this up, take the jack stands out, and then bring the car back down. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna take a look at the owner's manual and see exactly what we're looking at here. So if you don't have an owner's manual, well, I got you right here. So on page 413, it's pretty much showing oil capacity. So I wanna make sure that I get this correct. And I want you to see too that it is correct. Pretty much engine oil selection and stuff like that, but right here with filter, because we just put our oil filter back in, the car is gonna be using 4.7 quarts. But I also wanted to show this, right? So recommended viscosity is SAE OW20, which is what I'm using. But if you by any chance cannot find OW20, it says SAE 5W20 oil may be used, however it must be replaced with SAE OW20 at the next oil change. So if you're not able to find OW20 oil, you can get away with 5W20 oil. You just got to change it out next oil change. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about oil. So what I'm using is Valvoline high mileage full synthetic OW20, which the easiest way to check is going to be to look at your oil cap. It says SAE OW20. We see right here SAE OW20. So this is the right oil. Now, you don't have to get Valvoline. It's just out of my experience with owning cars and stuff, Valvoline has just been my go-to. And honestly, I'm not sponsored or anything, but it's just been a good oil for me. So we're gonna go ahead and pour 4.7 quarts into the car. So we're gonna go ahead and crack this oil cap just like that. Okay, so really quick, if you can't read an oil bottle, what we have right here, this is a 5-quart bottle of oil. And so if we look at the back here, it's got numbers, see? So right here, here are the numbers, and then it says liters and quarts. So we wanna look at this side, right? So where it says 1 right here on this side is gonna be quarts. So 1 quarts, 2 quarts, 3 quarts, 4, and then 5, right? So we're putting 4.7. So what I would recommend is kind of leave, I would say around here, so that you can kind of inch the oil in and then make sure you don't like overfill it or underfill it. That's kind of a good thing because we're putting most of this bottle in, but you want to leave a little bit left because we're not putting the whole bottle in, we're putting most of it in. But a lot of the reading is going to be on the dipstick, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's go put this oil in. I noticed that last clip, you couldn't even see me pouring it in because the funnel's too fucking big. But so this is what I meant, right? So I got the oil down to about here, and I know we're gonna need to put more in, but I just wanted to check the dipstick to see, that's why I have it cracked, so it goes in quicker. But I'm gonna check the dipstick to see where we're at, to see how much more oil needs to go in. Okay, so you could faintly see the oil, but we're just, oh my God, it won't even focus. We're just over the first dot. If I can get to focus. Whatever, you can see it, but we're just over the first dot, so we're gonna need to put more oil in. Okay, so I put about that much more in, and you can see it kind of floating down here, just aligned with the quarts kind of label in the bottle. But if we check the dipstick, now it is hard to see, but you can see that we are right at the second dot, which is exactly where we want to be. We're not too full, and we're not too little. We're right where we want to be. So I'm gonna wrap this up, start the engine, make sure everything's all right, and then we'll see if everything's okay. Okay, as we see here, I'm not hearing any strange noises. That ticking is my valve. It's valve tick, unfortunately. It happens to a lot of VVTi engines. But no rod knock, so that's really fucking good. That's what I was really scared about. Every time I do an oil change, I get scared of rod knock. I don't know why. Anyway, that's how you do an oil change on a 2011 to 2016 Scion TC. If you did enjoy this video, or if this helped you out in any way, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.